Hi there. My name is Paul Caughill. Would you give me just a couple of moments to say something that I believe is very important? The primary election in our Commonwealth is almost upon us. I think that more hangs in the balance in this election for our state, for our federal government, even for our freedoms than perhaps ever before. What role should Christians and pastors and churches play in this election, in the political landscape? Many evangelical pastors are so afraid of offending people. They're so intimidated by the threat of being challenged legally that they seldom speak. They speak about nothing politically. They don't speak boldly from their pulpits about many of the moral issues of the day. Now, our forefathers very wisely believed that government should not start a state church. This is the separation of church and state. Remember the First Amendment? It says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. We don't believe government should start a state church. But government neither should make any law that prohibits our free exercise of what we believe. So we're free to preach, to teach our people what they ought to believe, and we're free to teach people how they ought to vote. So a pastor should be free not to tell his people how to vote. We understand that a pastor can't get up and tell his people who they have to vote for. We accept that. But he legally can tell them how he personally is going to vote and why, and he certainly can teach them biblical principles. Principles that are represented often by the candidates running for office. He has a responsibility to do that. Friends, sometimes today churches are accused of being irrelevant. Well, you know what? We are irrelevant if we don't speak biblical principles into the consciousness of our people and into the culture around us. Unfortunately, today, late-night comedians have far more influence on who gets elected to office than churches or pastors. It shouldn't be this way. We have this soundbite, media-driven culture. So many people are deceived by advertising slogans that they don't understand the truths that made this nation great. Can I remind you of something? A remarkable percentage of the people who labored to establish just constitutional law in our country's founding were ministers of the gospel. They spoke the truth, and so should we. And we as ministers have a responsibility to speak on, to encourage, to exhort people regarding all things biblical and moral. We have to challenge our people about the issues of today and what the candidates that they're voting for believe in and stand for. So many issues are at risk in this election. The right to continued freedom from federal government intrusion into our lives in so many different areas. The right to life, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, which is threatened by the so-called hate speech legislation. The right to freedom from overbearing taxation. The right to a limited, non-intrusive government that protects its citizens without controlling their lives. The right to free enterprise. To start a business or own a business or run a business without being overburdened by federal taxation and regulations that drive the little guy out of business. We may be on the verge of losing freedoms that we will never be able to regain. Sam Rohrer has been an outspoken advocate for family values, for tax reduction, for good government, for limited government, for just government for the last 18 years in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. He's running for governor. I know exactly what he'll do in his fight for truth. He believes state government is compromised already by bribes for votes and the pay for play that both Democrats and Republicans are often guilty of. Sam's opponents for governor have already compromised themselves by taking large contributions from the gambling industry and special interest groups. How could someone like that ever hope to govern with integrity? I've known Sam Rohrer for many years. He's consistently refused to play political games in Harrisburg. He's worked tirelessly to reduce property taxes, to support good, common-sense legislation in education, in business, and environmentalism. He's a man of integrity and character, and he has a genuine servant's heart. He loves the little guy, the citizen. He has the experience and the voting record and the ability to lead Pennsylvania on the road to recovery. Please make an effort to educate your people about the candidates and urge them to vote. The primary election is on May 18th. It's so important. Can I close by quoting something that Ronald Reagan said? It's sobering, but it's true. He said this: "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States, where men were free." God bless you, and God bless Pennsylvania.